So the topic of my presentation is MRI image reconstruction via SPIRiT and neural networks. MRI is a dominant imaging modality for studying neuroanatomy. In MRI, the soft tissues in brain can be imaged with different contrasts by using separate pulse sequences. For instance, T1 weighted images clearly delineate the gray matter and the white matter, as you can see here. On the other hand, T2 weighted images are useful for visualizing tissue abnormalities like lesions. However, obtaining all contrasts might not be feasible due to cost of scans and prolonged scan durations. In those cases, it might be feasible to accelerate MRI acquisitions. MRI acquisitions can be accelerated by subsampling the case space, as shown here, and reconstructing the undersampled acquisitions. Now, one of the most common approaches for image reconstruction is compressive sensing, which requires incoherent artifacts, incoherent aliasing artifacts. These incoherent aliasing artifacts can be achieved by random undersampling, as I have done here, shown in the figure, and some prior information about the image, which is generally sparsity in a known transform domain. For example, natural images are known to be sparse in some predefined domains like wavelet images. In conventional CS, accelerated MR acquisitions are reconstructed via an optimization problem, where consistency to the acquired data is weighed against an image prior. This prior enforces sparsity in a known transform domain, as I explained before. In real time, the images are obtained through multiple coils. Therefore, a hybrid of CS-MRI plus parallel imaging is used for image reconstruction. One way to do this is to incorporate a calibration consistency operation, which is explained in the next slide. It corresponds to learning interpolation kernel from the auto-calibration region in the case space. The auto-calibration region is the mid-region of the low spatial frequency points in the case space, which is fully sampled. The kernel is estimated from this calibration region, so that kernel finds the relation between the neighboring case space points. This kernel is then used to fill the data points in the whole case space. This is done via convolution. This convolution in the case space is same as performing multiplication in the image domain, which is similar to multiplying coil sensitivity maps. So in this way, we are sort of implicitly using the coil sensitivity maps. The traditional CS framework is not without limitations. First of all, it involves nonlinear optimization algorithms, which take long reconstruction time. It also assumes that MR images are sparse in a fixed transform domain, which can lead to suboptimal reconstructions. For example, this fixed transform domain, as I've explained before, can be wavelet domain. This is a sample of wavelet domain of a T2 weighted image. Recently, neural networks have been proposed to address the aforementioned issues. In this approach, the sparsity in the node transform domain, this is sparsity in the node transform domain, is replaced by a consistency with the neural network reconstruction. Now, neural networks learn these reconstruction offline using large data sets of pairs of fully sampled and undersampled images. And once it has learned the transformation, the online reconstruction can be achieved in a few hundred milliseconds. Now what I did was, in this project, I compared L1 SPIRiT with neural networks. For this, I conducted two main experiments. The first experiment, there were T1 weighted images of 10 subjects. They were acquired at Umrah, but I would like to notify that they were not acquired by me. I used 10 subjects for training, 1 for validation, 3 for testing. Following are the image parameters. So the image sequence was 3D amplitude sequence, TR 2 seconds, TE 5.53 milliseconds, and 80 number of slices. And I retrospectively undersampled the images at various acceleration factors using variable density Poisson disk undersampling masks. following figure shows reconstructions obtained via zero filling, SPIRiT, neural networks, and this is actually the reference image. This is for acceleration vector of 6x. As we can see, that both SPIRiT and neural network achieve high quality reconstructions. We compare them to the reference. Although in terms of PSNR, what I observed was neural network is performing better in terms of PSNR structure similarity index measure, but visually they don't look too different. Then I conducted another experiment. So this experiment was conducted by me. I obtained one image of one subject. In following are the imaging parameters. I used 2D spin echo sequence with following TRT values, and undersampling which was retrospectively done at 4x using the similar undersampling masks. So I would like to notify that I had to acquire the data 3 times on 3 different subjects. First time I tried to obtain T2 weighted images, but apparently the sequence was only designed for a specific plane, and I used a different plane for imaging. So what I obtained, the slices were like projected onto each other. So then I tried to obtain T1 weighted images via MPLH sequence. This time the TR values were not appropriate. Therefore there was a small contrast between white matter and gray matter tissues. In the first experiment, I thought that the TR values was really high in the first times. Therefore, I increased the TR values and scanned another subject. Again, I came across similar problem. This time again, there was no contrast between gray and white matter. In the third experiment, I used 2D spin echo sequence, and I decreased the TR values. This time, I finally obtained reasonable T1 weighted images. They were not as good as the previous ones, but still. The following figure shows reconstructions obtained via zero filling, SPIRiT, neural networks, along with the reference images. One thing I would like to tell is that neural networks were trained on first dataset, and hyperparameters, first dataset of 10 subjects, and hyperparameters of SPIRiT were also optimized in the first dataset. Therefore, I was expecting both SPIRiT and neural networks to achieve poor quality reconstructions. Using just the same network and same set of hyperparameters, I did not obtain anything at all. It was really poor. So I changed the kernel size of the calibration region. So these are after changing the calibration size. We can see that the reconstruction quality is poor as compared to the first case in the previous dataset. These parts are really noisy. This suggests that networks should be trained and tested on the same dataset, and SPIRiT should have its hyperparameters optimized on the same training and test set, same domain. So in conclusion, I compared neural networks and SPIRiT for image reconstruction. Both methods achieve high performance if the training and testing domain is same, and they sort to show poor generalization performance. Thank you.